Hey everybody, Kristen here. As you know, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. And today, by your request, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite slow cooker recipes, but we're gonna make it in the Instant Pot. Today we're making a cozy pork roast with apples and onions. It's so incredibly easy to make. It's absolutely delicious, and the Instant Pot speeds it up. So let's get started. We're gonna start with a rub for our pork. So I'm combining here 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon kosher salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground coriander. If you don't have ground coriander, don't buy it for this recipe, just omit it, or add a pinch of cumin for just a little bit of a warm undertone. And then for our pork, I have boneless pork loin today. This is about 2.5 pounds of pork loin. You can use anywhere from 2 to 3.5 pounds for this recipe with this amount of spice rubs and all the other additions that we're gonna be adding in here in a minute. I have cubed it up here into large 2-inch chunks, and that's just going to allow more surface area for the pork to be infused with the spice rub and the apples and onions, and it's going to speed up the cooking process. So we're gonna sprinkle our spice rub on our pork loin here, and then we're just going to kind of toss it together until the spice rub is evenly combined on our pork. This is definitely a time that I would recommend using a pork loin, not a pork butt, a pork shoulder, or a pork tenderloin. A pork tenderloin is going to cook extremely fast. It lends itself better to being roasted in the oven, whereas a pork loin or a pork butt benefits from being pressure cooked. But today we're using a pork loin, and it is like a blank canvas. It's lean meat, a lot like chicken. It's a blank canvas for all the other flavors that we're gonna be adding to this roast. All right, let's set our pork aside here and talk about our braising liquid. So I have in my measuring cup here today 1.5 cups of apple juice. You could use apple cider. You could even use a hard apple cider if that's what you have on hand, or you could use chicken stock. I really recommend using an apple juice or an apple cider to lend to the flavors of this pork roast and give it those fall cozy vibes. To this, we're going to add in a 1/4 cup of Dijon mustard for some tang and brightness. I also have 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Omit the salt if you were using chicken stock, as that's already seasoned. We're just gonna whisk that to combine, and then we're gonna add it to our inner pot here. Pour this mixture right into your Instant Pot. This recipe will work with an 8-quart, a 3-quart, or a 6-quart. I'm using a 6-quart today. And then we're just gonna place our seasoned pork loin into our inner pot. It's okay if it's overlapping a little bit. It's totally fine. I like to nestle as much as possible into the broth there. But because the Instant Pot cooks with moist heat, the pork is going to stay super tender and super juicy. And instead of 8 hours of cooking time like my crock pot recipe, this only requires 40 minutes on high pressure. And the meat is going to be oh so tender. To finish this up, I have a couple sprigs of fresh thyme here. If you didn't have fresh thyme, you could add in a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme leaves, not ground thyme. Not the same, it's pretty overwhelming. I rarely, if ever, use ground thyme in my kitchen. You could also just omit the thyme if you don't care for thyme. I'm also adding in 1 firm sweet apple. This is a gala apple, however you wanna say that. And I've just sliced it into thin slices. It's really going to add quite a bit of flavor to our pork roast here. I wouldn't recommend a Granny Smith here. That's a little bit too tart, so we really want those sweet flavors to play off the pork. And then I have 1 large yellow onion. You could use a sweet onion too, if that's what you have on hand. And I just cut it into large chunks. Pop that in. The apple and the onion are just gonna work to flavor this pork roast. We're not gonna end up eating them, but it's really, really going to just infuse the pork with incredible flavor and make that braising liquid, oh so good. All right, pop our lid on our Instant Pot. Make sure your venting knob is pointed towards sealed or your lid is locked. And to set the cooking time, you're gonna hit pressure cook or manual and use the plus or minus buttons and adjust until it reads 40 minutes on high pressure. Once the cooking time has elapsed, you want to let pressure release naturally on its own for at least 15 minutes. That's going to keep your pork super, super tender. Really important anytime you're cooking meat. Then you want to open up your Instant Pot. Smells so good in here. So at this point, you just want to remove your pork and place it on a platter. And we're just going to strain off the cooking liquid and to remove the apples and onions and thyme, and then just serve it over the pork. This pork is absolutely delicious over mashed potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes, which I have today. It just shreds apart. It's so tender. All right, I'm gonna go in for a bite. It's sweet, it's salty, it's savory. The apple flavor really, really shines through. The pork is so, so tender. It's so flavorful, so easy to make. I love serving this over mashed sweet potatoes or mashed potatoes for a complete meal. Absolutely incredible. For another easy Instant Pot pork roast recipe, be sure to catch my next recipe where I show you how to make Instant Pot carnitas. Until next time, happy cooking.